This is Wayne Madsen with the Wayne Madsen Report Sunday Roundup, and we're been talking earlier with Nick Bryant, the author of the Franklin Scandal. The last clip you heard was an INN report. That network doesn't exist any longer, by the way. And you heard from New York Detective Dale Smith. He conducted a 5-year investigation on behalf of the New York State Senate Select Committee on Crime, the New York State Senate Select Committee on Crime. The investigation was spurred by New York Republican Senator Ralph Marino. Now, Marino became Majority Leader of the New York Senate in 1988, but he was ousted during the Thanksgiving holiday in 1994 by conservative GOP allies, a Republican governor-elect George Pataki. Gee, I wonder why that was, because Marino was pushing for this investigation, and obviously there are people that don't want this looked into. So Marino started to feel the heat. Republican, remember, but not obviously somebody who many of these individuals in the Republican Party who were involved in this pedophile ring were happy with. Now, Marino, he is the head of the state Senate. He was sued by one of the operators of this Greenwich Village callboy pickup operation, and it was a case before the New York Supreme Court, Oates versus Marino. And he was sued, and I mentioned that the judges and the courts are involved with this pedophilia. We talked about that with Nick earlier. So Marino, who is carrying out his duties as a state senator, is sued because he's investigating these operations. The cause of action against Marino alleges that on July 28, 1982, defendant Marino caused one Dale Smith, that New York detective, an investigator for the Senate committee, which the defendant was chairman. So Marino was chairman of the state committee on criminal investigations. He was sued. He said that boys perform in live sex shows at the Follies Theater and are available to patrons for sex. Mr. Oates was the manager. The kids were transported by William Oates between Florida and New York. The boys working for Mr. Oates were underage male prostitutes. Now, the court found that the statements allegedly caused to be made by the defendant, Marino, were slanderous per se and are thus actionable even without the assertion of special damages. Now, the court also said that on the second cause of action, a motion for summary judgment dismissing it is granted to Marino on the ground that it was under speech and the debate clause. You know, so anybody who tried to investigate this stuff was basically stopped, sued. And does that not sound like Larry Sinclair, who brought these, wrote about Barack Obama, and then he was sued by one of the people mentioned in his book, and along with his booksellers about his homosexual tryst with Obama in 1999. That's because the courts are involved with the pedophilia, that many judges are involved, so they can get they feel they can put these people who bring these charges away, including the chairman of the state crime committee in New York and Larry Sinclair. It's the same story. They hire the high-priced law firms to try to bankrupt these people. Now, Senator Marino was later he was replaced by Joseph Bruno. Bruno was later tangled with New York Democratic Governor Eliot Spitzer, who was brought down in a prostitution scandal involving adult women. Marino died in 2002 from tongue cancer. He was 74. Just like what happened in Nebraska, they went after the members of the Nebraska Senate who were also trying to investigate the Franklin scandal there. Now, this guy, Dale Smith, testified that Robert Kohler, an accountant for 5 callboy services, told him the services sold information about their clients to foreign intelligence services. The clients were reported to be U.S. government officials. Smith revealed that the foreign intelligence involved were those of Israel, the Soviet Union, and Great Britain. However, British intelligence has an unwritten understanding with the CIA not to operate on U.S. soil without the knowledge of the agency. Smith said that a Soviet intelligence agent told him that the KGB bought information on the clients of the callboy services. Mossad's involvement was not detailed. Well, that's really not all that surprising. In addition to working for the New York Senate committee, Smith also worked with the Washington, D.C. and Arlington, Virginia police investigating the callboy ring over a 3-year period. Now, why is this important now? I found out from a former high-level Jewish official of the Clinton administration who has extensive contacts with AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, that the number 2 Mossad chief responsible for the United States and Canada was Illinois U.S. Representative Rahm Emanuel, now mayor of Chicago, former chief of staff for Barack Obama. So Emanuel is now in a position to blackmail politicians involved in the Mossad's past honey trap operations, including the 1982 Callboy Network, which saw Israeli intelligence agents buying information from the pedophile prostitution services. How many politicians who are still in office today do they have the goods on? We know that there are many. Barney Frank, when he got nailed for his involvement in similar callboy service activity, said to the Republicans in the House, if you go after me, I have the names of 25% of the members of the House of Representatives, and I'm more than willing to disclose those names. They dropped the investigation against Congressman Frank. So you can see how this blackmail pays off in the end. And, of course, with the CIA in there, Barack Obama is the best guy the CIA's probably ever had in the presidency, maybe tied with George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush. But certainly this is the essence of the problem. It's bad enough they're doing this to young children, but also look at the blackmail angle here. It's huge, and it has been huge for at least 30 years. And we keep getting these over and over again, these explosions in the media, but then all of a sudden they're tamped down. 1980, early 80s, late 80s, into the early 90s, and then just a few years ago, again, with Foley and Hastert and the rest of them. It's a never-ending scandal. What Nick Bryant looked at with Franklin, it wasn't the first time that issue had been raised. It was Larry Craig who was implicated in the early 80s, and of course he got caught later on, but he was, a congressman and in the Senate for how long before his little incident with the wide stance in the toilet in Minneapolis airport. So this is the issue, and this is one thing that the media just does not want to cover, because many people in the media are also tangled in with this thing. It's a huge scandal. But let's go to the phones. We've got Sid calling from Indiana. Sid, are you on the line?
Yeah, Wayne, I am. How are you this evening?
Good.
Hey, guys, I wanted to just say I haven't listened to your show very much because Sundays is a kind of a day that I spend quietly. But
right.
I
call it a mental health day. Normally.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to tell you I'm glad I tuned in today, because what a good show. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to be tuning in more.
Great.
Great topic. I have never heard it done before. I was in the military for 10 years in the 80s, and from the early 80s to the late 80s. And I remember all the stories that you were telling. I remember them vividly. I was stationed up toward Washington, D.C. at the time.
Right.
It always comes back to George Bush, doesn't it?
It does.
The drug selling, now the child selling. It comes back to George Bush, his CIA. When he first got into the CIA, which goes way back.
Way back to before the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, you bet. And until he's brought to justice, Well, I shouldn't say that. He's never going to be brought to justice.
No.
Until he's dead. I won't sleep well at night.
Right, and we have Barack Obama just awarding him the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, well, that's because Barack used to work for him.
Absolutely. No, Barack Obama is probably as much a part, or maybe a product of this because of his age. Where was he? Occidental College,
you bet,
Columbia.
Buddy.
We don't know. Is this why we don't have access to his school records? We don't know anything about his time in college.
Locked up tight, aren't they?
They are, and we don't know where are the girlfriends, where are the girls he dated in college, where are these people? We don't have them. So who is this guy? Who was he really? Where I suggested he was an agency asset.
Thank you for a great show, Guy. I want you to go on to your next callers, and I'm going to listen on the side. Okay,
great. Thanks for calling in, Sid. Okay, well, let's segue, and it is quite a segue from the pedophile scandals, Franklin, and all the associated scandals, and what's happening with the nuclear reactor complex in Japan. I think it's important, and again, we get back to the way the media is covering this. It's quite clear that the Tokyo Electric Power Company has been saw peddling what has happened over in Japan. Now we've got people evacuating, can you imagine, Tokyo? And we will talk about that and the nuclear disaster that's unfolding right after this short break.